Right.
So you both will be at least the anchoring part to this little story. So we can just wave at the camera, hello, bridge makers and people who
Hello.
are curious about the bridge. This is Hey You, Dr. Diaz, with a couple newbies who are learning about our Event Horizon world. And I was just about to tell them the story of how this world was born. So that poster up there is the kind of advertisement inspiration for why this world was created. So you can look this up on YouTube. It's a mini documentary called Virtually Impossible. The frog headed guy over on the left was the one who created and produced the documentary. And it's about how we find healthy connection in social VR, basically. And it was his journey over a year trying to find a group of people that made him hopeful about humanity instead of hateful.
Wow. Okay.
And so, yeah, at almost near the end of all this filming he did, just, hundreds of hours of footage, he put together a raw draft and sent it to me. I didn't know him at the time, and he said, everyone keeps telling me to talk to you. Will you just even give me advice on this, even if you don't want to be filmed? And I was impressed enough with what he had done already that I consented for an interview. I felt like he was really presenting a very rich perspective of what the joy of connecting, but also the shady side. And so instead of it being just a 2-minute clip, he ended up including about 15 or so minutes of my interview at the very end, because he felt like it really brought it to kind of a next level. And so these community leaders and their communities, and then I was at the end, and I really appreciated the kind of story of hope that it brought. And he released it, but it didn't get very much visibility. And the community leaders themselves were starting to kind of get crushed under the weight of their communities. And so I had this sense of, if I don't push this all together very quickly, pull it all together, we're not going to have communities to celebrate anymore, because they're fracturing. They're under a lot of stress. And so it was 4 months of campaigning and delicate conversations, and then 1 month of a very hard push to create this world. Here's the trippy part. The creator of this world saw the film on YouTube, used to be in VR chat for a little bit, left VR chat, and then he saw this on YouTube, and he realized, oh, I never discovered this kind of connection in VR. I'm going to go find those groups. And so he came in here to just be in Bridge Makers, basically, because he really resonated with what I had said. And then he heard me talking about, I can't find a world creator to do an impossible thing, a literally impossible thing, and put together a very fancy world in less than a month for this event.
Wow.
And he was like, well, I could do it. And I was like, you don't create worlds. And he said, yeah, but I am a designer, a 3D designer. And he did it. We pulled a lot of experts, including the social engineer person who built the script. We got him a lot of mentors and many, many layers of support. And for a month, we just leaned in and we did it. And
wow, that's amazing.
At the end of it, we brought together these communities and had a very real conversation about the death of communities. And what that looks like. And so I think your original question, Sam, might have been in this idea of, why make a desert with a black hole? What is the story here, right? And a lot of this has to do with kind of the fairy tale we tell about communities, and then the reality of what they feel like when we come into them sometimes. And so this world is a love letter to the VR chat culture, and to acknowledge that one of the most missing emotions in these spaces is curiosity. And curiosity is like water, it's like liquid. And when we're in a desert that is missing genuine curiosity, big forces start to emerge and break up things. And yet I've done multiple searches in VR chat on black holes because I'm a big fan. And there are no black holes in VR chat up to date of this world that had anything inside of them.
Oh.
And I was like, I found a missing corner.
Yeah.
I found a way this could work. And so, yeah, I encourage you to go watch it. It definitely will give you more kind of a deepening vision of why we're tiny and why we're still here and what we're trying to do that's very different than most groups.
Yeah. Okay.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I had I mean, I think I've seen the name Virtually Impossible, like the documentary. I think it got some press in
a little bit.
I think New York Times or something.
Oh, and, actually, so it's funny. It's been compared to We Met in VR, which is the one that did get that.
That's okay.
attention.
Yeah. I think that's the one. Yeah.
Because of this person's excellent documentary style, a lot of people are saying, wow, this one is the next level beyond the We Met in VR. And then it really didn't get the kind of acknowledgement or support the other one did. So that was partly why this was created, because it was like, oh, it's so rare to have any content come out of VR that is a real easy digestion tool, entertaining and everything, but actually like gives us the chance to like feel the connection from a 2D space. He's very, very clever at how he engineered that video. So yeah, it was a miracle, virtually impossible. This whole, and it became a kind of, if you've noticed at all, the culture in VR chat is very ironic based. Like it's a way to feel humor, paradox, irony, and so. Coming in here with a really pretty sparkly bridge with flowers and kittens and whatever, that would be so trashed so fast.
Yeah.
There's actually a lot of worlds in here like that. I've found most of them with all these cool bridges, but it's very bright and like totally erases the emotional sense of coming into these spaces, and when we're not acknowledged, how lost we feel so quickly. So this was about saying, let's tell the truth of what it feels like to be sucked into community, to be crushed by community, to
right,
feel broken by community.
Absolutely.
Those are all
Definitely
so
experienced
real.
that, yeah.
But the background, thanks for
And
giving
real
us the
life
context.
and online.
Yeah, so you two are newbies, which is so fun to initiate this world talk with you. Before Bridgemakers had a world, it was just the idea that we can see our environments as stimulus, not just for pleasure, but also kind of like obstacle courses of pain.
Interesting.
And we can learn the mirror of our environments about ourselves in that mirror. So what might be something that creates fear responses or uncomfortable emotions in Firefly or Firebee. Oh my God, I just realized your name is Bee, and we have a whole bee theme in Bridgemakers, and you're like Firebee showing up for the fire festival of frustration, and like, wow, it's like we ordered you out of archetypal calendar here.
Here I am.
The fairy of frustration, Firebee, has arrived. We are blessed.
It's funny how things work.
It is
sometimes,
wild, right? And you're like 6 months after seeing our thing, you're just like, it's the time to emerge.
Yeah.
I heard myself called. So good. Yeah. So, it's meant to collide education with entertainment, basically. Like, it's meant to have the art and the mystery and the deep artistic investment. This is why I appreciate the world artists so much, in that, like, we had tension the entire time we built this space. We were working with, negotiating all the elements together, and we didn't kill each other, considering it was a very fast turnaround. We really channeled it into making it work. So, yeah. Yay.
Pretty awesome.
It's a very interesting. Oh, sorry. You go for it, Sam.
No,
sorry.
please go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's a very interesting procedure to balance everybody's wants for things like this, and it's really delicate as well, and there can be fun in a really chaotic kind of way sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and just like, I think when people hear the word bridge makers, they think, the Pollyannas, the do-gooders, the like, we're gonna paint rainbows and bring you utopia. And that's not the full truth of us. We include the brokenness, and we include the undoneness, and we show it. We like let people see us in our growing and in our conflict. And it isn't because we do it better, but it's because it's not about the proof, it's about the practice. And we don't see a lot of people practicing that vulnerability in these masks. We're already in masks, So if we can't practice our vulnerability in here on purpose, where are we ever going to feel safe to model the change we wish to be in the world?
Got it.
It's intention, not perfection. Sort of thing,
intention and negotiating intention with impact. Somebody wrote to me yesterday very, very kindly, and it was very touching, but they said, "Oh, I know your intention, and so what happened to you was wrong because I know your intention." And they were talking about something that happened years ago, and I thought, thank you for knowing my intention, even though I don't know you very well, but also impact is important too, right? And so people in privilege say, well, I didn't mean to hurt you, so therefore you shouldn't be hurt. And people in less privilege say, I don't fucking care what you're trying to do, this is what happened to me. And so Bridgemakers is about like bridging between those things, what we're aiming for, and then also how it actually rolls out. And the more transparent we are about our intentions and our impacts. The Antichrist has arrived.
Yeah.
Hello,
Hello, Antichrist.
Welcome.
Yeah, I love that, the impact part. I really like that. Yeah, that's good. Where did Sam go?
Yeah, I don't know. Ante, I heard you. Did you take a picture? Oh, look at this. Nope, just SoundPad.
What's
nice? Are you part of our group, Ante, or are you just joining off of somebody else? Let's hear about this. Somebody else. Oh, okay. Interesting.
okay?
So, part of the design of this world is actually to support with trolling also, and that's not something that a lot of people see, but as you can see what happened with Antichrist there, like there's flow. There's always flow in this space. It's hard to get trapped in here. And when people have like more disruptive energy and are not feeling a sense of place, getting in boxes where they have to choose one direction or another can actually escalate that feeling and that behavior. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I really like the bridge makers, give space for trolling and that kind of environment to help us along in our awareness of ourselves. And I really enjoy that thought and that strategy kind of. I don't see that being done anywhere else, like letting that be part of it. So I think that's really cool.
It's definitely delicate because, there's a lot of burned out leaders in here, and just mentioning anything about community design and that there be a route or a plan for trolls other than Mute Black Ban can be very scary for them. But what you will see often in this space is that trolls come through. Sometimes they'll join for a little bit and then they leave, and you can tell they're trolls by their usernames, by how they respond, by how they're not talking many times. They're kind of looking for trouble a little bit. And this is a space that many of them can kind of move through and not feel insulted or blocked or harmed. But also, they don't stick to anything because we're doing a lot more kind of deep conversating in here. And so... Yeah, it's not a game world, so to speak.
Yeah, very cool.
Nice.
Oh,
well,
I wonder if he's coming back or he just...
I know. What happened to Sam?
No, Sam!
No, that was such a good conversation.
Maybe his headset ran out or something like that.
It could be, yeah. It's like he had a full X out because I don't even... Well, I'm technically not friended, so I can't see if he's online, but I don't know. Let's at least go to the main circle. We might need to figure out our marketing better here because we obviously didn't get the circle part. But this is what beginning runs are for. We have small groups in the beginning.
Yeah. I did try to let quite a few of my servers know, like I told them about this, but it can be hard. You can let people know and try and spread it around as much as you can, but it can still be really hard to get people wanting to come or interested. I don't know, it's difficult. It really is.
Specifically marketing, do you want to spend 2 hours of your Sunday feeling frustrated with a group of strangers? It doesn't roll off the tongue quite well, but it is fun. Despite how it sounds. So
I know. I think it's fun. Yeah.
It takes a, what do they call it? It's an appetite you have to grow on purpose. You made it back. Hello. We missed you. You're half of the group. Uh-oh. Is your audio broken now?
We need you.
I know.
Oh, no.
I think Sam's audio has broken, which happens to me sometimes when I crash. And Sam doesn't have a lot of experience with troubleshooting audio, so this is going to be an adventure. Let's see here. So...
Make myself a little bit taller.
You're on desk.
Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yay, you figured it out.
Yeah.
That was going to be fun.
I'm sorry,
to walk you through.
Sorry.
Yeah, my Quest died, so I had to switch to PC for some reason. It just kind of crashed or something. I don't know.
Gotcha.
I had to switch to PC.
So you are both on PCs.
That's right. Now I am. I was on the device before.
Yeah. So this is another interesting thing. And please, this is not anything on both of you. I'm really glad you're here. This is a great conversation. But I have a thing where I have a lot. Now I've got an echo with you.
Oh, okay. Let me go on mute.
Okay. I have a thing where being animated in VR with people that are only on desktop makes me kind of want to crawl out of my skin a little bit. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because I start feeling a little bit like this animated puppet on people's TV screens. And I'm just like, let me dance about frustration. So that's just another interesting boundary that I'm bumping into here.
I have an add-on. I can hear my own voice. Oh, thank you. That's so weird when you hear that.
Follow Rod's here. Yay.
Yeah, normally I'm the same. I really enjoy being in headset because I like to be animated with people. Hello, but I'm a little bit burnt out today, so I couldn't be in the headset today. Yeah,
I'm glad you're taking care of your body. And Follow Rod, I think you arrived right as I was going, oh, I might not have enough oxygen to continue this meeting. You are in headset, yes? Oh, my buddy. Okay, make sure that I can see you, because otherwise I start having panic responses when I'm just around desktop users. So,
I met you in Mindful Communications, just the one before this. Hi, again.
And Follow Red, is your... Oh, okay. Yes. You just talk a little delayed sometimes, so I was like, is your audio working? And Antichrist came. Hello, Anti. So we're about to embark on a mini version because we're already about 40 minutes into the event we were going to have today. You're welcome to join us, but we're going to be learning about uncomfortable emotions that are involved in conflict. And so, you're welcome to join in. Just know that we are on a live stream. So, and if we lose, I usually will only do events if I have at least 3 people. This is part of my own self-care. So if we lose a couple of you, then we'll probably wrap up, just so you know. Okay, and this event usually goes for about 2 hours. It's where we get to go through all kinds of really interesting, hopefully, questions and worlds to learn about frustration. It's our first emotion. Grab the black hole. All right. Make sure my camera's coming with us here. There we go. And local. So can you all see the video that's up here? It says Unspoken Rules. Do you all see a video?
I sometimes have trouble seeing the videos when I'm on the Steam Deck, which is what I'm on right now.
Okay, no worries.
Might not show up
what
for me.
What do you see right now up there?
Pro TV 3.
Okay, yeah. Yes. So try going over here and click on the reload button. See if it comes up for you.
No. Okay. Oh, no. Sometimes I have to kind of like respawn or like jump in and out of the world, and then it works.
I also put this up a long time ago comparatively, so sometimes it'll time out. I might just need to put the URL back in. Let me do that.
Just checking. Still hear an echo from me?
No, that's good now, yeah.
That's good. Yeah. Okay, that's great.
Figured it out. Okay. So I just
our emotions, they feel like the most personal, most private part of.
Okay.
I'm
on
Is
this 444? Do you all see it?
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody not see it? Do you see it, Anti? No, you don't? Oh, no. So you might need to, go ahead and click reload. And if that doesn't work, go ahead and respawn. This is a video to kind of get us started thinking kind of inside out about how emotions impact us. And I haven't actually shown this to anyone. So you're going to be the first people to look at it and see what it feels like.
Cool.
Before I jump into this, though, just so we're all on the same page, I am Hey You, or Dr. Diaz, and I teach emotional fluency, especially around uncomfortable emotions. And so, and And the reason I do that is not because I'm a sadist and I just like to feel pain or cause pain in others. It's because I believe emotions are they're like magnets, and they pull us and push us certain directions. They pull us closer to each other, and they can pull us away from each other. And if we don't know how to name our emotions to ourselves and to each other, we start to become them. We start to be the magnets instead of use them as kind of gravitational sources to negotiate how we orbit each other, right? And so we are on a 12-month journey at Bridgemakers to explore conflict emotions. And February, which is the month we're in, is the beginning of this 12 months. So welcome to the journey you didn't even know you're on, as much as it's true for you. I've joked we need to have a little punch card, and you know, if you get 10 emotions, you get a free sob sandwich or something, you know, because, you know, it's an adventure, but it's also a labor. It's like an emotional gymnasium to ask yourself, what are the things I was taught about this, but I never consented to be taught about this. It was just kind of pushed into me, because we all have those places. Like, what have you been taught about feeling feelings? Like, what's one statement you were taught if you showed your feelings growing up, especially if they weren't happy feelings?
Wait, my brain totally fizzed out there. Did you say what was one statement that we have about if our feelings or our ick feelings weren't allowed to
ick feelings, be? Yeah. What's one thing somebody told you about feeling icky feelings? Usually it's a binding statement. It's something where they try to restrict your feelings or lessen them.
Well, I was disclaimer a little bit here. I was brought up in a pretty abusive childhood and home, so my feelings like that were not allowed to be spoken out. I wasn't allowed to express or have those emotions. So that's kind of my statement, as well as with good ones too. Yeah.
Yeah. So you were taught all feelings are bad. Just don't have any. Okay.
Don't speak out. Yeah, don't have
show your emotions. Any other statements? What maybe you each were taught? If you want to share.
For me, it was about anxiety. So I used to have anxiety as a child, and I think at least my parents said toughen up, you know. And in those days, it wasn't really like, you know, you just had to deal with it and you know, go out and deal with things,
hide it,
swallow it, and
appear silent, strong over showing you have fear, right?
Yep.
And so that teaches us to leave our emotions, because even something as generic as anxiety, which is just like an umbrella term for there's a lot of emotions underneath this, and people are like, nope, you can't feel that either. Do either of you relate to that, Anti or Follower?
Somewhat. That facet of myself and others, it's recent to me, so I don't know.
You're not sure? Much. Yeah, they may come up as we explore this, because a lot of times the way that we're explained emotions happens before we even have words. You know, it'll be how siblings will. This is what happened with my siblings. They would, you know, if I would even feel a little bit sad, they knew how to recognize that on my body. So this is what they would do. Right? That's all it took. And it shut it all down. And do they even know where they got that? I don't know. Sometimes that transfers before we even have logic or reasoning. It just feels good to laugh at something that's uncomfortable, even if the something is a person. Yeah. So I saw, Antichrist, you say that you're extremely introverted. Thank you for sharing that. And I like that you're typing. That's another way to participate. So yeah, if you have any of those projections, I want to make sure that we understand before I show this video, this is probably going to stir stuff up for everybody. You're not expected to understand all of it, but what I'm going to ask you to do is like notice the things that are stirred up, but maybe try to just kind of catalog them for yourself as opposed to like become them. Those magnets are going to get a little bigger as we look at emotions. And then we'll go on a world hop in a few minutes to just kind of like see what environments bring out of us as far as emotions. And then we'll close up with some acknowledgments of how we grew at each other, even if we didn't speak. All right. One of the ways you can feed your facilitator here, they say don't feed the creatures, but I am a creature and you may feed me, is with emojis. Talking all about emotions here. And if you can find your radial menu and offer emojis, that helps me at least know. There we go. Helps me at least know a little bit about what is responding to it. And there we go. Exactly. And they can be silly emojis, just as long as they're safe for work. But they will let me know if you are on track with us. Did Fia come? Is this Fia? Oh wow. That's interesting. I don't know if this is the Fia, but it's exciting that Fia's here. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, there's a sad face up there.
Is there a sad Fia?
No, there's a sad face up there. Maybe it's meant to be a poster or something, and I'm not seeing it, but it's like got cross eyes.
You've probably seen the sticker. Yeah. So for any of you who have a Quest, if you have a VR Chat Plus account, you can. I can make this sticker available for you to take it as a little souvenir. Yeah. Oh, Casey's here. Well, that's good. Got Casey coming. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and play the video, and we'll go over that sticker a little bit in a little bit. But we're going to go ahead and play the video and see what we learn. Y'all ready? Hopefully it works.
Who we are, right? They just sort of bubble up from inside us. But what if I told you that what you feel, and especially what you're allowed to show, isn't random at all? What if it's all governed by a set of invisible social rules? We're going to dive into this, because these rules are shaped by some really powerful forces. Things like gender, power, and privilege.
So let's start with a question, and I bet you've seen this play out a million times, whether it's in a movie, in the news, or maybe even in your own life. When a man gets angry, we call it one thing. But when a woman shows the exact same emotion, well, it gets a very different label. And right here, you can see that double standard in black and white. The words we use tell the whole story. For him, anger is passion. It's a sign of strength, of leadership. For her, that same anger gets called hysterical, unstable, irrational. Same feeling, totally different judgment. And this isn't an accident. It's a product of those unspoken rules we were just talking about. So what's going on here? Well, sociologists have a name for this. Feeling rules. They're kind of like these invisible scripts we're all handed that guide our emotions.
I'm going to pause it. Did it not play? Is everybody watching? Except for...
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so Sam, you might need to respawn into the instance. Did you try that already?
I just did that, actually. Okay. I just respawned because...
Did you click reload?
Yeah, I did. Reload, yeah.
Okay. Interesting. And then when you respawn, did you just respawn to the beginning or did you actually respawn into the world? There's two different places to do that.
I did the respawn into this world. Okay. So do I need to go out and come back in, join the group again?
Yeah. So basically, if you open that little square menu and select the third tab on the bottom, which is like the little map icon.
Okay.
Then there's the rejoin world option.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay. Hopefully that works. We'll wait for a moment and say hello to our people who are just flowing in. Fia.
Hi.
Is this Fia as in Fia
Yes.
I met with Armani? Oh my gosh.
Yes. Hi, how are you?
Welcome. You came to an especially small event that we're doing, but I'm glad you're here.
I like small events, so that's good.
Good. Yeah. Welcome. Yeah. So, Fia, what we're doing right now, we're testing a little bit also. Can you see a video up here?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So what we're doing is we're watching a video to kind of stir up some uncomfortable emotions. And then we're going to go on a world hop to see how the environments around us actually teach us about our emotions. So, yeah, I'm really glad you're here. So I'm going to push play. Hopefully this works. Can you see it now?
Lives. They tell us you should feel happy at a party, sad at a funeral, and maybe you shouldn't get too angry at work, especially depending on who you are. The key thing is, we aren't born with these rules. We learn them.
And you guessed it, these rules get super specific when it comes to gender. Just look at how this breaks down. Society tends to code emotions like anger and pride as powerful, and therefore masculine. But on the flip side, emotions like sadness, fear, and shame get labeled as powerless and, you guessed it, feminine.
Any video being played.
But here's a really crucial point. This is all about the outward expression, right?
All right.
The performance.
I'm going to go ahead and pause this. So I believe in inclusive, and we have at least one person who can't see it. So that's a little teaser for you. I'm going to release this on our Bridgemakers YouTube channel, so you can go watch it on your own at some point. For the people who did see a little bit out of it, we didn't get very far, but did anything grab your attention? Talking about emotions and power dynamics. What did you notice? Can be hard to hear. You're like blank slate. Okay, that's okay. We're learning how this world works. So let's do something more active. So go ahead and follow me. And we're going to go downstairs for a little bit. So this is going to show you the engine underneath the black hole. So go ahead and grab this. And for those of you who haven't seen this before, this is an emotional fluency model. This explains how we conflict from the little conflicts where we're just kind of like growling at each other to the big conflicts where it really explodes and communities are destroyed. And so we can go down the ramp here and we can see that our friends, the sign people, I love it. Firebee's like, I'm in the heart, the fear, let's go.
I like this fear bit. Yeah, it's a good seat. It's a good seat.
So, just being down here, I know it's a lot of information. You can always go back up if you just want to look at this diagram. This diagram is usually something that I can spend up to 2 hours just teaching about all these interactions. But sometimes it can just be useful to look at it like a pretty art piece and even just look at the body language of these sign people. What do you notice? What is something about their body language that tells you something? Why are they standing where they're standing?
I always have the urge to like dance with them, even if I know what they're representing and stuff. Like I have that huge urge every time I come down.
Firebee wants to dance with the upset sign people. What about who else? What are you noticing? Sam or Fia?
I think it's a different. I don't know. It feels like it's different expressions we have, like either like I don't know kind of expression versus like this guy here.
Yeah.
He's like he's saying I don't know.
Yeah. Can anyone do that in their bodies?
And this guy's
and what does it like feel like?
Thinking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What about you, Fia? What are these sign people telling you?
I'm just kind of taking it in right now. I don't have too many thoughts. I was dealing with something else.
It's okay.
So yeah, I'm just
no
kind of
worries.
yeah.
Yeah. So it looks like Anti is explaining that this is based off of some emotion theory. Yeah, that's right, Anti. It's cool that you know that. There are multiple theories that explain conflict, but this one actually adds emotions in a way that can be easier to memorize, kind of have a compass inside of you when you hit these conflict points. And so if you actually put your body language in this one's, like what would your body be doing? What is this one telling you about how they're feeling? Can you use your hands, even if you're on desktop, use your hands to curl them into fists like that and hold them straight down at the side? What does that feel like in your body?
Like aggression?
Yeah. Do you feel a little growl happening? Maybe your teeth are starting to show a little bit, but it's not completely a smile. Right? So what do you think happens in VR when we can't see each other's body language? Like Fia could be really, really angry right now. Would I know that? I don't know. Do you have any special effects on your avatar that turn you into fire?
I don't know. It's a little frustrated face. That's all I have.
Frustrated face. Oh, let's see. Let me see. Is this it?
I think this should do it. I don't know. Right.
Oh,
I think it should do something.
You look concerned. Yeah, you're kind of like...
Maybe, yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, the person who built this avatar for me, they added all these different emotions to it because they were like, oh, you're going to need to express so much, but I never remember to use them. So I don't know. Do I look... Oh, there we go. Emojis. Yeah.
Yeah, that works too.
Yeah. So the idea in VR is it's even more complicated on how to connect with each other in a healthy way when we don't have all the nonverbals that we normally have in physical reality. Because in physical reality, we're not thinking out loud, oh, you twitched your eye and you kind of frowned for half a second. Therefore, you might be more frustrated with me. I don't think that consciously, but I still can respond to it. I still can put my hands up a little bit and be like, okay, I see your boundary. But if you're on desktop, I don't know that about you. So I have to just pay attention to one source of information. In your case, it would be your voice. And maybe a second source, which is your proximity, right? If you're standing over and on top of me the whole time, even if you sound really nice, I might be like, whoa, are you frustrated right now? Yeah. But what happens in VR is we misunderstand each other constantly. And we can overread positive affect and believe that we're way closer than we are because I had that haircut one day and I just think you love that haircut. So you must love me. And so we're going to be best friends and let's do a long project together and see how that works out. Just because I unconsciously thought you had the coolest haircut and you must really like people like me. That happens in here really often. And then things blow up and they go really, really wrong. And we flip from you are my hero or you are my angel in my life to you are my villain and you are evil and you should be destroyed. And that catalyst change destroys people and communities. This is why when you look around, there's a lot of destroyed space here. That this world is a commemoration to all the communities and all the conflicts that broke and never repaired. Never found a way to pause like we are right now and say, I've been on this adventure before where I want to burn it all down and then I just leave quietly without saying anything. Right? Does anybody relate to that? Have you ever had that feeling? Feel like, oh, yeah. I want to burn this down. And then you just like, I gotta go. My headset's dying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this is a little chance, imperfect and completely iterative, for us to pause before we flip into that very big emotion and say, if it wasn't rage, because rage quitting, it's a real thing. I've done it before, right? If it wasn't rage and it wasn't anger, what's the smallest emotion of fire that tells us conflict has started? I'll give you a hint.
I'd say irritation.
So this is really great. Casey picked up on it. So you see irritation is over here. And this one is like, oh, I don't know what to do, right? And frustration is over here. Oh, I know what you should do. So they're actually linked. These are infinity loops. And what feels like irritation for one person can be frustration for another person. And we're doing this micro dance together all the time with these friction emotions that we're not really tracking very consciously. And then if we keep looping between irritation and frustration, now we get emotional chemistry. So guess where that goes? I'm irritated, I'm frustrated, irritated and frustrated, irritated and frustrated.
Anger?
Anger, yes. We're going to blow things up bigger. So now I've gone from the sense of growling, of going, you're not listening to me, to now my body is in it. Not just my voice, not just my emotions, but my body is in it. So what is this one feeling? What's going on with this guy?
Sort of external.
Yeah. It's outside of me now, right? And then it can go even further to rage. And I don't think we even have this one. They just evaporated into a pile of smoke. But yeah, frustration can be the beginning of dynamite or deepening connection. It's the first on-ramp to saying, okay, this is stress. I'm going to want to leave, or I'm going to want you to leave, maybe, especially in VR, because everything's faster in motion with each other. And we have so many sparkly, creative things to look at. Why would we ever want to feel uncomfortable with each other? But what happens when we don't practice uncomfortable is that the bar for being comfortable gets higher and higher and higher. And we need more and more proof that I'm safe or it's your fault. And so then communities start to say, they start to kind of make a lot of rules to keep the, quote, toxicity out of them. And moderators and leaders, they don't have any kind of training on how to let people be upset and kind of channel that without it turning into threats, without it turning into threats to self or threats to others. So they just get really scared, understandably, and they just start trying to figure out, what can I do to get you out of here? You are stressing me out. That's it. And then that person, because we're in VR, we're not just on a 2D typing platform. That person is bonded to their identity. So they don't feel like you're just rejecting them as a human being in physical reality. They feel like you are rejecting the person that they chose to be. It's actually worse because we chose these skins. And so when you kick me out, you've kicked my soul out. You've kicked me, the deep me out. And guess what I'm going to do to you? Burn you the fuck down. I'm going to make it my vendetta to make sure that you feel the pain that you've caused me. And so you get these vengeance cycles in here. I have interviewed people who are on these vendetta cycles that last for a year or more, targeting leaders in here, targeting people who are guiding the community because they don't know what to do with that energy, and a very deep misunderstanding happened on who was responsible for it. And so leaders often in here, they leave because they're so tired of being canceled and called out and shadow banned. Yeah. VR it's an emotional alchemy with very little boundaries. And so we can learn a lot about our emotions in here, but only if we choose to. Otherwise, we just become all dinosaurs trying to eat each other with our lizard brains and thinking, well, I'm right and you're wrong, and I feel better being right than wrong. So if I have to find somebody to be more wrong than me so I feel more right and solid, I'll do it. Yeah. Such a painful story that I think all of you recognize on some level. I'm curious if there's any thoughts. I've been hearing some nonverbal body language of ums and ahs and sighs. Those are all signs that somewhere in you, you're touching a place that maybe went very dark or numb. When we don't understand, we just have to look away because it's just too overwhelming sometimes. Yeah, what came up? If you can raise your hand or...
So I've been kicked out of instances like, so I think I was once in an instance and I think it was full of, I guess they were all Japanese and they were all talking, and maybe I stumbled into that instance and they took one look at me, and because I was not talking the language, they just kicked me off. But it wasn't like, I mean, it felt initially a little like, oh, I don't know what happened because, I was just off the instance.
You're just there.
But then it was like, oh, well, maybe there could be a reason for it. And then because I am also on Reddit and I read what's happening in VR chat, people go and post things and it's been posted before. So it kind of connected the dots. I said, maybe I was in the wrong place. So I just kind of rationalized it that way and said, maybe I was in the wrong place. Let's just move on. So I tend to kind of also, think from
didn't take that
two perspectives. Yeah, I mean, it was
and
just, from my perspective and their perspective, and maybe from their perspective, I was the intruder and they didn't want me there. So
exactly.
That's about it. Yeah.
That's very compassionate of you. I'm going to tell you about a study I just learned about today. I felt kind of like silly because I was like, I feel like I should have known about this a long time ago. And you can try this in your mind as an experiment. So let's pretend that I handed each of you a Sharpie marker. And I said, I want you to draw an E, the letter E, on your forehead so other people can read it. And so I want you to pretend to draw that on your forehead. Are you doing it? Make sure everyone's doing it. Okay, so now, if I was standing in front of you, would I see an E or 3? Backwards E.
An E, because I drew it backwards.
You drew it backwards. Oh, wow. Okay. What about you, Fire? Did you draw it forwards or backwards?
I drew it backwards in my head, yeah.
Look at that. So we would see a 3 if we looked at Fire. Wait, you did it backwards. You did it backwards. Okay, so you both would be E's. Anybody do a 3 where you drew it as if you were reading it?
I did it, yeah.
Okay. So what they found is that people who felt and rated higher on a sense of being empowered in the space, like they felt powerful, drew the E's backwards so that nobody could see that it was an E. They would all read a 3. And the people who felt themselves in less power drew it so people could read it correctly, but when they imagined it, it was backwards.
Interesting.
Isn't that such an interesting thing? So the conclusion they made from this study is that people in power, especially when you're in the position of power, so like you might be a leader in another context, but here You're sitting with us on the ground. You're following. But people in power are way less likely to empathize with other people's perspective. They stay with their own. And people who feel less power are way more likely to empathize with other people's perspective, and they leave their own. So what does that tell you about these kinds of negotiations of emotion and space when you might have drawn the E one way or another in your head?
I don't know, I find that a little bit confusing because I would regard myself as very empathic towards other people. So I'm really confused by that whole experience there and what that means, and that leads me to like some self-doubt as well. But then I'm like, experiments of pros and cons as well to them. You know, they have strengths, they have weaknesses. I'm confused. Yeah.
Here's what I really don't like about the study is it set it up as a binary. And so you just kind of feel guilty no matter what. You're like, oh no, I can't stay with my own perspective. I've abandoned myself. And then you're like, oh no, I can't see other people's perspective. I'm just an egomaniac. Right? So it's not a great study for feeling like, oh, I'm drawing the E correctly. I'm just waiting for somebody to say, I drew an 8. Read whatever you want into it, you know? Screw you too.
I like that.
So what I'm inviting you to consider is that we still learn something important in that, is that leaders need people around them that hold many perspectives and have built trust and can conflict with those leaders to pull them away from harmful decisions that could hurt people.
Yes, I agree with that entirely. Yes, absolutely. It's like having advisors around you and stuff, like old monarchies and that. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Sorry, I got really passionate there.
You felt the power, right?
I did.
That's power.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Power. So we're going to take
so
the power of frustration today and find some worlds that bring it out of us. But before we do that, kind of like we're going on a safari, and instead of people, that's the advanced version of this, we're going to just see environments. Hopefully you have one in mind. Think about the last time you felt frustrated in here. And we might go to that world and you can tell us your story of frustration. And one of the questions that I like to ask people when we go to a frustrating space is, how did this space let you move away from that fire and move back into it? Many times people realize I didn't have a good exit. So my frustration turned to, I gotta go. Okay. And so we're going to look at designs as a mirror for our emotions. Does anybody have a world that just came to mind where you're like, oh, you all have to see this? I have hundreds of spaces I can show you, but remember, today is a world top that should be quest friendly, ideally. But yeah, does anybody have a world you'd like to start us with?
There's this one word. It's called the hot dog world. I don't know if you know about it.
I don't.
What happened in the hot dog world that was so bad? Please tell us.
Remember, it's a safe for work stream. You couldn't drive the car. Okay. Yeah. So those things, it's called user design and interactions. Those things when we think we can pick things up, we think we can move them, and then we're really bad at it or it doesn't work. And we think, is it me? Am I just bad at it? Or did they not care enough about their own space and I got set up? I got tricked into doing something here that isn't working. Yeah, that's a really good example of the mechanics of it. Let me see if I can give you a good example of a frustration world that is also about the environment and what it's telling you. Fia, I imagine you have quite a world list in your pocket. Do you have any worlds that bring frustration out in you that are quest friendly?
For me, it's mostly about design or about the user experience when it's not really well thought of. So I don't really have a lot of patience for things that are just of poor quality.
They're just badly designed.
Yeah. The first thing that comes to mind is a lot of these worlds where they have, it's like a field of flowers, but it's all just 2D images of flowers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I just hate that. Whenever I pop into something like this, I'm like, okay, I'm out.
It's like being sometimes maybe in somebody's Hallmark greeting card, but it's like, I don't think this card was made for me. And it's very like pretend. Yeah. So I'll show you.
I very much relate.
Yeah. Sorry. To the frustration of the world breaking and not working right?
Yeah, driving the cars.
It's just so uncomfortable.
It doesn't work.
Okay, so I'm going to show you a world that might be surprising. It's a little bit of a hunt. We're going to have to look at it and say, what in this world is frustrating? Before I drop the portal, though, I'm going to ask if you wouldn't mind put your status on orange, so that we can stay with who we have for the rest of our time tonight. If somebody wants to join on you and you want to go, just let them know what we're doing. That's okay. But yeah, making sure that your status is on orange so that we don't end up, just having to kind of re-explain things a lot. So I'm on orange. Firebee, it looks like you need to go on orange. And Sam, you also. So I'll explain more of that if you're not sure what it is after we go through this portal. But let's go to this world called Meadow. Here we are. Okay, so before we explore the secretly frustrating Hey You world here, for those of you who don't know how to do this, let's see. Oh, no, wait, everybody figured it out. You're all in orange. Well done. Okay, so now I want you to pay attention to something about this. I've told you that I've experienced frustration in this world, right? So now you're going to you have a lens, like glasses on your face that says, okay, we're going to go find Hey You's frustration, right? But if I hadn't told you this, ask yourself, would I think this is a world that could bring out frustration? So let's explore for just like a minute or two and notice your body language as you walk around and what you're noticing. And also notice all the other feelings that may be coming up. Like you could be feeling hungry or stressed or tired or lost or curious.
Are you feeling hungry? Is this a reflection?
It could be. Could be.
Are you sick or something? You sound different from what I remember last time.
Do I? You know, I was sick a couple days ago, so my voice is a little gravelly. So what are you noticing in this world? What do you feel like maybe is my frustration?
I was very happy until I went into the dark corner of the map, and then I didn't like that bit. I quickly ran back out. Yeah,
dark corner was not fun.
I instantly changed, from the free flowing care to frustration and fear.
So top ideas. So maybe darkness made me feel frustrated. What are other ideas of why this world could be frustrating for me?
So far, the only thing that's a bit confusing to me is what are we supposed to do here? But I want to explore over there. But so far,
I want to be in the light.
Yeah, okay. I don't feel any frustrating.
You feel confusion. Okay, that's clear. That's an emotion. Yeah. So I'll show you what frustrated me. I am a big dragon fan. I love dragons. Dragons make me very
not being
happy.
able to go there.
Not being able to go visit the dragon. That's just Outlands.
Yeah, I tried and then I got stuck, so I came back. But
I feel so frustrated. It's the best part of the world. It's the most interesting part, and I can just sit up here and look.
Yeah, you.
I didn't even notice him. Yeah.
So
I
I feel
definitely
my
would feel
fire.
the same seeing him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I went down in the water.
Did
So
you
you can
figured out
kinda
how to
get
go
close.
down? Oh, good.
Yeah,
I
you can kind of get close.
I don't think I have the Go-Go Loco. Oh, but you can fall down the waterfall. Oh, this is so cool. What?
Those are so cool.
it's stuck
So
here.
far.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go all the way.
you helped me see a route. Thank you. I have never gotten
a
this
little
close.
closer, but
It's so
yeah,
better.
this is the
Oh
close
my
stuck
gosh.
here.
And now I'm worried about our
You
people
wanna-
above who might not know where we are.
Oh,
So I'm gonna
yeah,
respawn.
it's gonna respawn.
Yeah. Okay. And so what I like about this world that it illustrates, right, is like for some people, the dark or the shadow can be really comforting. It can be, this can be a place that feels like home. Some people have light sensitivity. Some people really love fireflies or fire bees. It's a zen space, but for other people, this is a place of fear. They're gonna feel like they get trapped, or it's a place of invisible walls, and it makes
little man.
you what?
I'm sorry.
That's okay. What did you say?
I was yelling at my grandma.
Oh, okay. No worries. So let's go over to the light space and see what that feels like. So now it's bright and calm. And there are no dragons around here. Yeah. So how does this feel?
It's too much.
Yeah,
Too much.
bright.
Too bright.
On the
It's too
dragon.
light. Too bright.
How does it feel for you, Casey?
I don't like it, but I believe
No.
somebody's on the dragon. They defied
Somebody's
you.
on the dragon. Oh no. Who's on the dragon? It's probably Sam. Sam's got a respawn. Sam's like, I found it. I got there. You should all follow me. I love that Sam was like, I'm not frustrated. I am on it.
I swear they just reset. Were you down there on the dragon? Somebody was down there.
Somebody, maybe Antichrist was down there. See, when I was in here, I don't think I had Go-Go Loco either, and so it didn't even click that I could challenge the boundaries. So as you can tell, when this world creator made this world, they didn't call it frustration. They didn't design it to be frustrating, right? But it can still be a frustrating space. And this is where helping flip my perception, because when I'm a world leader and I bring people to worlds, and then there's always a few people that are going to complain about the world. Be like, it's too whatever. I can get frustrated. But remembering these little design choices and how like great intentions and great impact can still lead to frustrating experiences. Which leads to the question, how do we help each other when we notice that somebody is frustrated in VR? How do you work with frustration? What do you do? Or what do you not do? Because there's a lot of trolling responses that bring frustration out and then they minimize it. What do you do when you notice frustration in somebody else? How can you tell? I'm gonna sit on the ground
Normally
for a
by
moment.
their tone of voice, for me, is the only way I can kind of tell, really.
Yeah.
And maybe some slight changes in behavior.
Like what? How could I tell that you'd gone from calm to frustrated? What would be the sign?
Some people, they go quiet. Some people, it's the opposite. They get a little bit more vocal.
What helps you if you're frustrated and somebody has noticed that when you're in VR? What's the best response and what's the worst response? scream.
All right, that's probably the worst response.
Yeah. I see you're frustrated. Ah! Okay. So you don't want to have somebody escalate, like be even bigger in their emotion when you're feeling frustrated. Yeah. What else?
For me, it's time at its best. I'm just left alone, because if I get too frustrated, it can come across very easily to people, and it's just left alone to work through that, so that I'm not, harming anyone else, like making them feel hurt or sad or attacked. So I'm best just to be left to myself, because then I can just go through the process and calm myself down and chill out.
Yeah. So there's something about the space we take, not just in distance, but also time, that helps us bring ourselves back to the ground. Something that helps me when I'm frustrated is for people to say, "Hey, how are you doing?" And that's courageous, right? Because if they know that I'm frustrated and they say, "How are you?" they could get a blast. Be like, "Oh, how am I?" Right? But also, it's trust. It's them saying, "I know you're not going to pulverize me and melt me down with all your fire, but I'm just going to offer you a little curiosity for you to check yourself and see how you are right now." Yeah. The other thing that
personally.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, me personally, that, frustrates me. Like, if you can tell that I am upset or that there's something going on, just leave me be. Leave me alone.
Yeah. And see, this is the thing that I feel a lot of sadness around. I really respect that. And I also know that what it usually means when we're feeling upset and we want people to leave us alone is that we believe if you see my upsetness, it's going to break our connection. And I feel sadness about that because it tells me something I see everywhere, but it just confirms it every time, is it means we have not built trust with each other to be upset and not break our relationships.
Yeah.
Upset is like smelling smoke and then condemning a place because we smelled smoke because it must have already burned down. Right? And what it tells me is we don't know how to slow those emotions down. Like, I'll tell you, if you ever want to get involved with bridge makers and be around, or even just come to the events and do this, if you use an emotion word, especially an uncomfortable emotion word in my groups and my experiences or my projects, I stop everything and I'm like, emotional fluency, woo! Also, sorry I'm making you mad, but we're going to talk about that. You get extra points for naming emotions in bridge makers, because when we name our emotions, we offer a bridge. We offer it. It doesn't mean anybody's going to meet us there, but we offer a bridge to have a new outcome. If we just hide them all, we just grow distance with each other over time. And leaders especially have an invitation from me to practice emotional fluency, because if leaders say only positive on this team, only positive in this community, guess what they're setting up, even with really good intentions? They're setting up a very dark space where discomfort has to be hidden in order to belong. And that's so uncomfortable to realize, because leaders have so few resources, especially in social VR, to do anything. They just make it up and pour everything they've got into building their dream and their vision. And so sometimes it is self-preservation for a leader, and I have done this also, to say, hey, this is not the time for us to pick something apart. This is the time for us to acknowledge and celebrate each other. And we'll do a debrief on what we can do differently and I will schedule that. So we gotta make room for the uncomfortable emotions, but also we can get very contagious in them and just kind of like get toxic at times. So that instinct that leaders have to say, we're going to set a container around this uncomfortable emotion is a really good instinct. You can watch leaders now, even on television, and how they will try to quarantine it a little bit. But if they just try to erase it all together, we're not in human relationship anymore. We're just in survival mode with a big smile on our faces. Okay, we're going to go to one more world that maybe embodies frustration. Did anybody else come up with any ideas for frustrating worlds? We had some really good ones last year that were like puzzle worlds that were impossible to solve. And we all thoroughly frustrated ourselves into needing a retreat space to not feel so angry at everything. I will show you, let's see here. Is everybody here on PC VR or PC? Or do we have any questies with us right now? Can you all check? Never look.
I am on Quest right now. Okay. I could switch to PC.
That's okay. No worries. We made this on purpose to be a Quest friendly, so we will roll with that. Okay. Let's see here. I'm looking through my options. What are your questions about frustration while I'm looking for this world? What are just questions raising up for you where you feel confused or you feel like, what if this is a thing about it? What do you feel curious about?
Well, I guess like frustration when it comes out externally and stuff can be like really harmful to those around us, and I think that's important to protect other people from that while you're like learning to deal with your frustration and understand it. I'm just thinking of like other from my own experience in life.
Thank you for that. How do we cope when people are frustrated? Because a lot of times the beginning when somebody's frustrated if they don't have a lot of practice feeling frustration, what it will actually look like is almost like vomit rage. It'll be like, and then after they do that, they'll say, I'm just a little frustrated right now, but it's okay. Right? And so the way that I look at those moments is vomit sometimes must come out. It is important for our bodies to be able to do that, right? A lot of people are very emotionally constipated and have never gotten to feel how to mediate how fast that energy comes out of them. So the first few times, it's going to look and feel like projectile acid. And my job, in my mind, I picture myself seeing that cartoonish vomit stream coming out, and I just step aside, and it lands right next to me. And then I go, oh, I can see there's something happening for you here. And I don't know how many people know this, but I did something in VR called the Troll Project a few years ago. And I went around and interviewed trolls, mid-trolling. All over VR, not just VR chat, but mostly in VR chat, because this place has lots of them. And my hope was if I go interview these people, guess what's going to happen? I'm just going to get vomited on most of the time. But maybe a few of them will get enough out that they'll be able to talk to me like a regular human being. And so my big goal, I'm going to prove that this works, was that I could talk to 3 out of 10. So I would count in my mind, okay, I'm going to talk to 10 trolls today. 3 of them are going to actually like have a real talk moment. Guess what that statistic really was? How many of those 10 trolls I talked to would actually talk to me? Give a guess.
7.
7. We went up. That's great. Any other guesses? It was actually more like 8 or 9. 8 or 9 out of 10 trolls who are just having the most hateful, harmful stuff come out of their mouths and their bodies and their avatars could switch out of that place within just 30 seconds to a minute. It was like they were at work and they put their coffee mug of trolling down and they're like, sure, yeah, what can I do to support? And I thought, this is way beyond my goal. How much of what we're seeing with trolling is literally like the first step of crashing into each other because there's very low organization on the inside that knows how they're impacting people. So the first question I would ask people is say, what's trolling? Tell me about trolling. What does it mean to you? And I would say, what's bullying? Tell me about bullying. How can you tell the difference between the two? And what I found was they had never gotten that far in their minds. This was not a gradient of behavior to them. Most of them did not believe they were doing any harm at all. And that's a really big misunderstanding. It's a really big misunderstanding. And so when I started letting that first expression of their behavior be their frustration, right? Their growl. When I started letting that be true and stepping aside and talking to them like a human being a few times, not rewarding it, but also not ignoring it. I'm curious, I'm curious, I'm curious. Usually by the third time I said curious, or before that, they were in their bodies and they were ready to talk. Even troll streamers who had started making money off of it have run into me and they've said, actually, hold on. And they've stopped their streams because they didn't want me exposed through their audience. They wanted to protect me. And they also knew that their audience would not find what we were going to talk about entertaining. So what I found was very, very human people behind the people that most of like trust and safety and most people in the professional realms of moderating would consider bad actors. And there's only one thing to do with bad actors.
But yeah, every people, like, no matter how old you are, you still have the mind of like a child. Your mind is still that simple and working. So these trolls, think of them as like a 7-year-old kid, all right? Or like a 6-year-old kid. He's running around the house, he's screaming, making noises, yelling obscenities, trying to get your attention because he's upset and there's something going on with him. Or her, whatever it is. Yeah. That is how these people are. They're upset and they are expressing themselves in a way that they don't understand.
Yeah, that's really wise, Casey. Coming from somebody who's been in VR for just a few weeks and already knows that. Thank you. Don't forget your wisdom there. A lot of people come in with that, but they don't leave with it because they're so overwhelmed by sorting through thousands of masked people that just don't really care and have never spent any of this time thinking about this. I have a lot of compassion for the developers and the leaders who are all having to navigate this with very minimal tools. And I also want us to keep asking ourselves, are we getting what we're hoping we're getting with these tools? Are they really helping us build better community? And if not, what could we do different? So the last world we're going to go to, I'm going to give you all that sticker if you would like it, and we're going to do some checkout. So start thinking right now. Yeah, it's a VR sticker if you have VR Chat Plus. If you don't, please get on our Discord so you can get a copy of it. It's basically going to give you some very basic tips on how to cope with frustration in VR. And we're gonna close up with our next steps so you can apply this hopefully. And check this out. This is not a frustrating world. Okay. Before Bridgemakers had our black hole world, this was the very first world we ever used to circle up with community leaders. So I'll bring you to my little magic garden space where we can chat about what we learned today. I've been talking at y'all for like an hour here. So what have we learned about frustration? And I'll give you some last pieces. What's new? What's validated? What's different? Turn the volume off so I'm not having to listen to harpsichords. What did we learn about frustration? One thing. Just anything. Did I put y'all into a coma? A little bit. It happens.
I look at that like diagram of the emotions. I look at that differently now.
Ah, exactly. Because now you have an anchor point.
I didn't notice that like it fed into each other like a loop.
It does. Yes, yes. Thank you for noticing that. Actually, that is another sticker that I normally have. Let me see if I still do. Nope. That one's gone, it looks like. Okay. Well, for our afterglow world, you can see it in a 3-dimensional way that I'll show you in a second. But this is the sticker on frustration. Oh, Firebee didn't make it. Yes, Firebee. She just asked to join. Must not have worked for her. All right, so let's read through this. So a lot of times frustration is a reaction. This is my way to label it versus a response. React is like knee jerk. Have you ever been to the doctor and they hit your knee with a hammer? Yeah. So reaction is like, you scratch me or you push me somewhere and I'm going to kick, right? But a response is I pause and I'm choosing my adventure. I'm choosing my direction. And so this is about channeling that fire energy of frustration into something healthy for ourselves. And I'm going to be careful to not just like talk a lot here. So I would love for somebody here to read one thing you see or tell me one thing you see. What do you see up here? Anything that pulls your attention.
One that I find interesting is about dropping one notch physically. I feel like when I'm in VR, I don't really think about my physical body that much.
Yeah. I'm so glad you mentioned that, Fia. I wear, I'm privileged to have a Quest Pro. And on a Quest Pro, you can actually remove the side of the Quest Pro. And so I have glasses on, very heavy glasses. You know, and someday I'll probably sue Oculus for tech neck and whatever. But I have these glasses on, but I don't have any like shaders, like blinders, like I'm a horse. And so I can actually see my body right now and my hands and my arms as I'm talking to you. And that has helped me stay much more aware of my body. It's like I'm in two realities at the same time. But when we do have those blinders on, we're literally building a habit to not be connected to our bodies in physical reality, except maybe our hands, right? We're losing that awareness. And yet our bodies could be overheating and steam is coming out our ears and we don't know it. We don't know that we blushed right there. Like heat has literally risen, right? Because we're so distracted and things are moving so fast. And yet, if we can find a way to realize when frustration is happening, we can actually retune into our body and change some of the physical characteristics to bring ourselves into a more ready place to bridge. So it isn't telling our body, hey, you're wrong, you shouldn't be upset. It's actually about saying, hey, team member, I need to last through this moment. And if you're holding your breath, I'm probably going to rage quit. I would like to have a good outcome here. I'm going to push all the air out of my belly. Do you ever have people that tell you to take a deep breath? Don't be one of those people in my life. I'll growl at you. I do not like being told to take a deep breath. But sometimes people in my life... Did you say you laugh?
No, to relax. They tell you, oh, just relax.
Yeah, they want me to relax.
That's not gonna help me relax.
Some people who know me well enough, instead of telling me to take a deep breath, they'll do this. Just around me. Could you recognize by hearing me do that? Was that an inhale or an exhale?
Exhale.
That's an exhale. Oh, it's interesting. Yeah.
The first one sounded like an exhale, and the second one sounded like an inhale.
It was softer, actually. That's right. So when they do that, when they exaggerate it, it reminds me that my belly and my diaphragm might be stuck. So telling me to take a deep breath is actually working against those muscles. But if you exhale and you model that for me and you do it really slowly, my body is going to be like, what are you doing? I want to try that out. That seems like different, right? So you're just basically offering me a nonverbal to cue me to check my body without ever having to be like, hey, you, calm down, breathe deep. It's so condescending. I just have never liked that. Yeah.
I actually had that experience with someone a couple of weeks ago where I was talking about, I was in a deep listening event and they exhaled after and it made me realize how much I wasn't breathing and it helped me to start breathing with that. It was really interesting, and it was that deliberate exhale instead of inhale they did.
That's it. And sometimes when I'm around someone who's frustrated, I'll just be like, oh, I have so much tension in my body. I need to breathe out. And I'll just say that around them without ever saying, you seem like you're getting upset, But by saying that out loud, and I'll kind of like exaggerate that, sometimes people are like, ugh. But that's still releasing energy, right? So we're just basically trying to get that bottleneck of energy to release. And many times when we're feeling frustrated, there's a need under that, right? There's an unmet need or an injustice happening. Frustration is just the first little blinker on the car, the little check engine light that says there's a missing boundary here. I can't be sustainable right now. It's just giving me an alarm to like renegotiate relationship. And if I listen to it and I go, oh, okay, let's pause. And then we can actually, well, I still have words, renegotiate relationship. Here's another little tip that has like awakened me in my life at a whole other level. What does it mean if somebody says I'm a little frustrated?
Haven't reached the max yet?
It usually means that they're actually angry. People who are frustrated usually just say, I'm frustrated. But if they minimize their frustration, there's a deeper volcano that is boiling. And they're needing to say, no, don't worry, I won't burn everything down. Because some part of them is actually feeling, I really want to burn everything down. And so when you hear me say I'm frustrated, know that it is because I had to learn and recalibrate and understand how to find that heat level. And if I say I'm frustrated, I am definitely frustrated. But if I say I'm a little frustrated, you might be like, hey, you told me about this. Step back from the red button. So another way we release frustration is what I just did there, what nonverbal came out of my mouth. Ha 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 ha.
Hello, laugh. Yeah.
Yes. So think about what laughter does. Laughter actually makes our diaphragm vibrate. Ha 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 ha. Try it. Try it right now with me if it doesn't feel too silly.
No.
Right? We're taking a frozen space in our belly and we're getting it to move. And just like a vibrator that can make our muscles, when they're all knotted up, smooth out, laughter is like an internal vibration that makes us stop feeling stuck. But if we're not channeling it on purpose, laughter can be reactive. And that's where we get into the territory of mocking people and diminishing them. Not because we mean to, just because we're trying to reset. And we see something that kind of tickled us. So sometimes when I'm frustrated, I also have to be careful about my inappropriate laughter. I'll be like, I'm so funny. And people are getting more and more quiet. And I'm like, oh, maybe this isn't fun. This is me joking because I want you to laugh because I can't breathe. So these are just the mechanics of these emotions that we don't ever think about. But in VR, these are so important. Otherwise, we run into all kinds of roadblocks and misunderstandings. This line up here, check your story generator. Think that we think thoughts and then we feel feelings. Right? That person gave me a ticket and now I'm mad. Right? We don't think I was driving while angry and that person gave me a ticket and I'm still mad. I just have more things to be mad about. So our brains can trick us into believing that the emotions we're feeling, we have to have proof for those emotions. And so we start to write the proof. We start to connect the dots in the sky and say, well, those stars mean that in this day, it's a prediction that I'm going to be the biggest victim in all of VR. And that gladiator bleeding in the sky that my ancestors taught me explains why this moment I have a right to burn it all down. I have a right to be angry. I have a right to be frustrated because this story that I'm making up, that I didn't realize I'm making up, is justifying me getting very upset right now. In VR, that is especially easy to do very, very quickly. We fill in the blanks, and there's a lot of blanks that look like there's a lot of information. Like, for example, Antichrist, if I was really religious and you had come in here and I had seen that name tag, I might have made up a whole story about you. I'm sure you can imagine. You probably get that projection sometimes. And I would have just alcoholic. I could have made up a whole story about that too. And I would say, I banish you, Antichrist. Right? So we're offering each other a lot of data that could get us rejected. And in order to bypass rejecting, then maybe I'm going to start making jokes about the Antichrist with you. But somebody else here, hidden behind a desktop computer, might have some very deep feelings about the Antichrist and what they were taught. Like I was raised being told, this is a very evil and very real thing. And so I might offend two people here that neither of us meant to offend, and we're just talking about a label, right? This happens constantly. It is amazing that we ever find each other and have beautiful connections in this space. You're all miracles. But just knowing that the emotions are these little magnet compass points that tell us how to feel safe again. And if we believe them and we learn how to talk about them with each other, we can grow entirely new community systems in this space. And we can grow entirely new creative projects because we will have much higher tolerance for uncomfortable emotions. A lot of what destroys projects is teams who do not know how to conflict well together. And so then they're like, oh, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I was just saying, I didn't mean to, this is just not going to work. Bye. And we just sunk 20, 30, 40 hours onto that. But we never learned how to say, wait, did I, like with the world creator for the event Horizon World, I had to check in with him a couple times. And I said, I'm getting stressed and I'm afraid that I'm micromanaging you. Do you feel micromanaged? And one of the times they were like, kind of, yeah. I said, let's talk about that so I can back off. I do not want to be killing your creativity. But it requires conversations. Okay. So usually at the end of our little hops, this one was a hybrid today, what we would do is check in with each other and we would say, picking one person here that we appreciated what they said, how they held with each other, what they pointed at, just one little thing, even if it's something about their avatar, knowing that we all grew each other on this adventure of exploration today. Sometimes when we appreciate each other, we can say, hey, Sam, you've been standing the whole time and it's been reminding me how much I sit every day. And so I appreciate you for standing and reminding me I need to go on a walk after this, right? Did you intend to be in an avatar that was standing? Probably not. But this is me telling you that you're motivating me to get my body moving again. And you can go, I never thought of it like that, right?
Didn't think of.
So that's an appreciation. Do you have an appreciation you want to offer anyone here? Just say you impacted me.
Let me think about it a little bit.
Yeah,
I'll come back.
Sure. Does anybody else have something where you felt touched or something about somebody here really struck you?
I kind of want to appreciate Antichrist for showing up and then sticking around and kind of just being a presence and doing their thing too.
100%.
I really like that. Yeah.
So true. In fact, Antichrist, when you came in at the beginning today, I was talking to Firefly about trolling. And I was sharing with Firefly that some of the ways you were responding mimicked a bit of a troll. And I said, if Antichrist is trolling here, this is the perfect world to do that because it's very open and it allows you to just flow through and disappear if you don't find somebody to go after. But also, you might not be too into trolling, even if you felt like a troll today. And you might just come join us and circle up and be part of our group. And both of those things can coexist in one human being. And so Firebee got to see an example today of what that looks like, even if I just made that story up about you. And I apologize if that wasn't true. Yeah. So thank you for that. What other appreciations do we have here? Can be as little as...
I think for Firebee, I think in the initial, when it was just three of us, I think Firebee, you talked a little bit about your personal history. And I think that was not so easy to share, I'm sure, with everyone. And I certainly appreciate being open and forthcoming.
Yeah. Oh, this is one of my favorite things about what I call group creatures, which is a little bit like that dragon we saw in the ice. When we spend time together and we sit with like uncomfortable things, we're not going to solve frustration today, right? But when we sit through uncomfortable things together, this additional consciousness starts to develop. I don't know how to describe it, but it's this whole nervous system that starts to build in our body language with each other. Like When did you decide to sit on the ground with each other? Do you remember that decision? Many times the group creature will just be like, it'll compel everybody to get lower and quieter and slower together. And so one of the things it'll do too is it will remember things that got forgotten very far away. And it'll say, thank you for bringing your heart and your vulnerability. And that was such a good example of it. I forgot about that, and I was really touched. Great group moments will often start with something that feels a little bit too vulnerable to share, because it creates a sense of trust for everybody else. We can break this person if we don't treat this moment with respect. That's what it tells us. And we think, oh, I need to get more sensitive because I don't want to be responsible for making this moment of vulnerability painful for this other person. And so it brings us in. And that's just lovely. Thank you. Any other appreciations? Remembering that gratitude is where we reset these hard emotions. You don't have to feel thankful, but you can see that you grew. You can see that you're doing something different, and maybe somebody inspired you to be that way. What are other acknowledgments? It can also be an appreciation for yourself, if you have one. Sometimes you need the appreciation.
For me, I think I just appreciate everyone equally for just being here and sharing their experiences and just being vulnerable. And I completely forgot about this thing. And to be honest, I only remembered like way too late. So I was glad that I still was able to join in. So it's been nice to kind of just slow down and think about things that I've been trying not to think about.
Yeah, thank you, Fia. That's exactly it. We all need these little gardens, these little oasis moments to just kind of like try to just feel different in our life and know that other people are doing that with us. That's kind of what Bridge Makers is about. Almost 2 years ago, I sat in that little pond over there with about 20 leaders, and I just said, this is the hardest thing in the world to lead in this pixelated space. But let's build a culture where it's a little less hard because we're helping each other do it. That was the whole goal. Let's just make it a little less hard so we can lean on each other. So I'm glad you found that today in this garden. Well, I'm going to appreciate how frustrated I was at the beginning of this event. I do a lot of promoting for Bridge Makers for their events, and it's very hard for me to promote my own events. I just feel like I've got nothing left in the cup to really share out or amplify these things. And so often my events kind of have the smallest attendance. But, you know, I also... more today than ever before. I was like, I am frustrated. Yeah, you know, you're not listening to me, Bridge Makers community. I'm in the mode. This is the day we teach frustration. And I was able to channel that fire and still stay human and recognize when Firebee came and when Sam came, like, we've got people. And if you want to learn about this, I want to learn about this with you. Yeah. So I appreciate all of you. And is anybody have VR Chat Plus so you would like this sticker? Do you find this helpful and you would like to get a copy of it? Okay. No
I've
VR
not
Chat
got Plus, but I did take like a little image
picture
of it,
Okay.
so I could,
I will also post it in the event chat for those of you who would like to download it. These are just kind of little souvenirs we sometimes make so that if you're thinking about this confusing adventure potentially later on, you can pull this out and be like, well, we did learn one thing. But yeah, after frustration, so we're going to do 2 more weeks on frustration this month. And then next month, we're going to do irritation. And it gets more and more spicy every step. And so,
oh God,
yeah, the grand
it's so
finale.
Spicy already.
It's spicy already, right?
I feel, yeah.
Yeah, it gets deep, right?
good,
We
though.
used to do this in a
good, though,
12-week
yeah.
cycle instead of a 12-month cycle. This is the first time we've ever done it as 12 months. We're hoping it gets a little lighter, like you get to feel the break in between and just kind of, I just want you to make friends with these emotions. They're really, I never feel completely alone because I've got like at least 12 emotional bodies around me that are all jostling each other. And if you make friends with these emotions, what it does is it encodes memory differently. So our emotions are actually how we create memories. They tell us what's important to us. And if we shut all our emotions down, we store very flat or empty memories. And I want your memories to be as vivid of your life as you are in mine. So that's the point. That's the dot of it. So next week is going to be a music hop. We have a little application we've been developing called an emoji graph. And basically, you can use emojis to track your emotions while you listen to different pieces of music that our core leader, Mary, is going to be sharing. And then at the end, we're going to push play and you can see everybody's emotions at those exact moments that you selected your emotions. You can see everybody's emotions connected to that musical piece. So you don't just grow awareness of how you feel listening to music, you grow awareness about how everybody there felt. It can be really informational. And then the final week is when we're going to go to the secret, really big, complicated, amazing worlds on that emotion. So it's the PCVR hop. And so for those of you who will only be on Quest, you can watch it on stream. But that's kind of the grand finale is we're going to go to the epic worlds. You might get a bit overwhelmed because when the artists don't have boundaries, they make really intense plans. So, yeah. And if you would be willing, please RSVP for these events. This helps us know how many helpers to plan to be there, etc. And share this out. We definitely want to make sure we're reaching the people in here who need this. So thinking about places you can share this and talk about your story, how this was for you. Yeah. How do you feel about grabbing a photo?
Hey.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get a photo. Okay. Where should we get the photo? Should it be in front of the sign or in front of the garden? Where should it be?
Maybe in front of the garden? I don't know.
Yeah, we could go in front of the garden. Where shall we go? We could actually just sit right here, and then we've got the cool pond behind us. Oh, look at that. Oh, you are all the initiating group for learning about frustration. Very proud of you. I will give you a punch card for your frustration sandwich after this. All right. So I'm going to say 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and select an emoji to try to release on 3. So 3, 2, 1. Select emojis. Yay, frustration. We love frustration. Oh, that's so good. Okay. And is there anybody here who's not currently in our VR chat Bridge Makers group?